I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long the live is going to last, but I'm going to try and do the reading. Okay, I'm going to try and do the reading even without questions. Yeah, because I've said before, I don't really like announcing. I don't really like announcing when I'm going to go live because 9 times out of 10, I end up not going on. And I don't like disappointing people. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look into the royal family, RF for short, instead of repeating that. Okay, so these are cowries for anyone who hasn't seen me do readings before. Okay, I'm just gonna try and touch on a few questions, general questions. The main reason why I've been just uploading, like the posts, and obviously I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to come on and do a reading, a live reading. I much prefer the live readings because I'm able to be much more flexible, and delve into whatever else that the cards show up. Yeah. But the reason why I uploaded the video yesterday, the one on Kate, is because I was getting a lot of requests to do another reading on this, and a lot of people not didn't understand what was going on, and so me uploading that video was pretty much to say, okay, I've done this reading before on your most pertinent questions. In case you're wondering what's going on with Kate, I've done this reading before. Take a look at this reading. So that's pretty much the main reason. So it's just to say that I don't think that the cards are going to show anything that's majorly different from what I picked up before. Um, but I'll see. I'll see. I'm just trying to show the cards. It's really not showing. I'm trying to show the cards because I like it when the cards actually show like what I'm shuffling and what I'm picking up, because a lot of some people, when they become skeptical, they think that I just pick out the cards, or that readers pick out cards that are not haven't been shown to them, that they just pick and choose. But no. So okay, so just the general reading on the royal family. I'm thinking of Kate, of Catherine. I'm thinking of the other royals as well, what has been going on. Yeah, I'm gonna try not to drag it on too long. Obviously there's a lot to cover, but I don't know if I'll cover it all. Okay, hi Julian. Okay. The reason why I'm using cowries as well is because oftentimes when the energies become too heavy, I don't, it becomes a burden to read, and the cowries kind of enable the energies to be less heavy and much more comprehensible, because whatever I see in the cowries that is difficult to explain through the cards, it makes it easier for me. It's like a balance. It's like eating and having water on the side. So okay. I'll just put the cards here. I really don't think it's showing as I want it to. Okay, so I've got my deck here. Yeah, hi Julian. I hope you're okay. Okay, so this card here has come out. Let me show you this card here. All right. Let me put this here. Okay. Julian, can you hear me? I'm really not sure if you can hear me because there's some construction work going on. Anyway, so this is what the cowries have shown. I've thrown the cowries, and this is what it shows. Um, like I'm trying to pace myself because there's a lot going on, obviously. Okay, so this is Kate. This one here. This one here is Kate. And as you can see, it's basically like pointing towards the card, pointing towards on the outside, kind of. So this one here, right here, it's kind of pointing on on the outskirts, basically showing how everyone is talking about her, right? This is the conversation. This is the media. They're talking about her. This is William here. So this is William here, and this is Kate here. And this card that I pulled out right here, you can see it. Hopefully it's not too blurry. It's basically like a wall state, like a wall state. Um, what has been going on in the royal family is a lot of things being unraveled. The reason for these things being unraveled, obviously, I've talked about it before with regards to Meghan Markle, Prince Harry. What Meghan Markle started is what is continuing and is what will continue in the royal. In fact, as I've mentioned before, again, one of the reason why I was hesitating to do reading because I don't want to seem repetitive because I've said these things before, but because people refuse to pay attention to what the spirit realm was showing about the RF, right, the royal family, through Meghan Markle, like the fact that they are not better than her, they are as bad, if not worse, than her. Because people refuse to see that truth, the cycle has restarted. So whatever that we experience, you experience when Meghan Markle started her antics is what has doubled. In fact, we haven't seen anything yet. Yeah, like I used to say when I first started these readings, we haven't seen anything yet. There's a lot more that's going to be exposed. These rumors are just rumors. Kate is not she's not in any danger. She isn't well, she's not lost in that sense. She's not lost. She's not gravely, I don't see her being gravely ill. Let me just say, okay, as they've said, I don't see her being gravely ill in the way that they have, sort of because of the operation. Did she have an operation? Absolutely, because this one here representing her, this one here, like her not being in the middle, it shows that she's not driving the conversation, meaning that what they have said about her, these people about her, is the truth, sort of the truth. In that she did have some kind of operation. I do not pick up that it was abdominal. I'm picking up it was more like to do with her throat, something around that area, like maybe like a sore throat or something to do, maybe like to fix her gag reflex. But that's not really the main, I guess, topic of conversation. It's more like what is happening with her. Why is she not showing up? Hence the video that I posted yesterday. Her reason for not showing up is because she wants to teach something to the public. If you watch the video that I showed, and even some other readings again that are on the Instagram page, if you just click on that link right underneath the video, I did a reading on William as well. Basically, the RF wants to teach people a lesson, and the best way that they feel they can go about it is to withdraw from people, withdraw from the public. This is why you see William sort of like acting as very nonchalant because he thinks he's playing a game that he will win. But unfortunately, he's not going to win, and neither is Kate. They intended on teaching the public that unlike what you made our grandmother do, i.e., the Queen. Because remember, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter what the royal family, RF supporters, the Cambridge supporters, or even the Sussex supporters say. Both sides are the same. It doesn't matter what they say. I'll only say what I see. The Queen was on board with the Sussexes remaining. She was on board with the Sussexes being half in, half out. And in fact, the royals are more united than people wish to admit. So, because people lie to themselves a lot about the royals. So the Queen was on board with allowing Meghan and Harry to stay half in, half out. But unfortunately, Meghan did not want that. She didn't. That's not her personality. She's very like she's very sharp around the edges. You can't round her edges with gifts. No amount of gifts is gonna round her edges, right? So this is what the Queen wanted to do. The Queen wanted Harry and Meghan to have their own way, but within the confines of the royal family. In other words, we're going to support you. In fact, even if you're willing to spend more time abroad than home, we're willing to do that because anyway, we still want power, not just in Great Britain, but in the rest, of the world, the United States. So, what better way than to have a royal, two popular royals relatively, Harry and Meghan, but they're not relatively popular. They're quite popular in America. Go to America and settle there. Because remember, America has historical links with Great Britain and the royals. So that was kind of what the Queen was thinking. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way because she did not anticipate the level of power hungry that William is and was. She didn't anticipate it. In fact, I didn't anticipate it, even though, that's what I was seeing in the cards. It was coming up, right? So, William's rise to power is what has coincided with Charles's him getting on the crown, a coronation. I'm kind of going all over the place, but it's to say that what the Queen wanted is not what is happening. And the chaos that you're seeing today, even though I've just said that it is kind of orchestrated by William and Kate trying to teach the public a lesson that you forced the Queen's hand. You forced her hand. She was forced to write that letter, basically saying that the Sussexes are no longer part of the royal, being in the royal household. You forced her hand. We will never let you force our hand. We're going to let you talk and talk and talk, and we're going to act nonchalant. Hence why William, no matter the outrage, he's nonchalant. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a damn. And it seems confusing because a lot of people are also thinking, why is he acting that way? How can he not? Of course, he gives a damn. He's a royal. He knows that his popularity relies on people caring about him, about them, but he doesn't give a damn. I don't know how to explain this further. He does not give a damn. You might think that they need the public, and they do. But again, like I've explained in previous readings, this is the consequence of hubris. This is the consequence of overestimating not just your own power and intelligence, but underestimating the power and intelligence of other people. Because remember, everything is very, very much spiritual. The Queen understood this to some extent, but William is so far from understanding this that it looks like a mess. But it's like an orchestrated mess because, like this card here, it really shows like a war. At first glance, it looks like everything is burning, fire. But I don't know if the camera is going to show this, but if you can see here, like you can see when you look closer, you can see books. So it's kind of like an old temple. So the royal family is like an old temple, like an old castle. But then there's a dragon, and that dragon is William burning things down and not realizing that the books, like this castle, and the castle doesn't even look enticing anymore. There's mold all over it. And this actually depicts how people are now seeing the royals. These people don't realize that the opinion of the royals has actually gone down, has become like mold. This castle is no longer glistening. The castle is no longer shining. Like you wouldn't want to live there except you're a swamp creature, right? And that is what this dragon looks like a swamp creature. So no wonder William is so comfortable being so nonchalant and flippant about the public outrage. Now this card again, it really represents what is going on because a dragon can breathe out fire, but then a fire can also be started from something other than a dragon. So meaning that this fire has both been started and has continued by William and also the members of the public. In other words, William has deceived himself and is deceiving himself to think that this fire belongs to him and therefore he can control it. But he doesn't realize that this fire has now gone way beyond his reach, because it's not just about the fire, right? In other words, it's not just about putting out a statement or acting nonchalant so that the public is going to think that, oh, we don't care that he acts nonchalant. We're just going to protect him because he looks like he's working hard. That's the image that William wants to promote and project. He thinks that it's all about that. Him acting nonchalant. I'm going to act nonchalant, and people are going to be none the wiser about what is happening in the background, which I've talked about before, the staff issue. And hopefully, I'm going to touch on the staff issue because I said it before and I'll say it again. The staff issue is what is going to bring down the House of Windsor. The staff issue. People are not seeing that yet, but that is what is behind the castle. And that is why, all these gymnastics that Kate and William are doing is to hide the staff issue that is about to come. When I say about, it might take a year, it might take less than that, but it's definitely on the horizon. And when it starts, I'm going to start doing readings a lot more, a lot more, because that is something that is really, really major. And I really have no idea why the cards have been insisting since like 2 years ago that is the most important issue, or one of the most important issues, but it is apparently. So what William doesn't realize, William and Kate, is that no matter how much they try to pretend they don't care, it's not just about putting out a statement and that's it. It's about how that statement is received. In other words, okay, even if this fire belongs to you, what if people like William, he forgets something that the Queen and Charles especially, even though Charles is, he's slow on the uptake. He doesn't realize he knows this, but that history matters. This castle was only glistening because of the books. There are books here. So it's kind of like a temple, but a library at the same time. What exactly is the royal family without books, without history, right? Books signify history. The history that the royal family has, William does not consider it as something that people hold in high esteem. In other words, he's come to believe in his own power aside from the crown. He thinks that, well, him and his supporters, they think that we're just going to bully people. And if you see, even on Twitter, on social media, the supporters really, really bully people. They've become worse than, equally as bad as the Sussex squad. And I just want to say this in this reading, because I'm sure they're going to come. And if the Sussex squad did not stop me from talking, did not bully me into keeping quiet, no royal family supporter is going to keep me from talking. Like, you're not going to do that. 'Cause I know how bullish people can be. And I know that you guys stalk and you try to prevent people from talking about these issues, but I'm not going to stop. I'm never going to stop. So if the Sussex squad couldn't do anything to me to keep me from talking, you're not going to do that either, because they were worse than you, definitely. So, at least in the bullying methods. Um, and I'm a lot more spiritually strong than you guys. So whatever, even like, attacks you do in the witchcraft, you do in the spirit realm, is never going to work. It's not going to work. So William and his supporters, the Cambridges, they have forgotten that the power of royalty and the power of the royals relies on the history, on these books. Now, at this present moment, as we're talking, right, everything is kind of suspended, which is why people are still questioning. They don't know what is next. What is the next move? All they know is that there is fire. But the fire, according to them, which is true, it hasn't engulfed the castle yet. But one thing that, again, William is mistaken about, William and Catherine, is that the fire doesn't have to be all over the castle for the castle to be burning down. The castle can end up looking like ruins. The castle can still be standing and look like ruins. And that is what is basically this. They have pushed the envelope so far that even though they think that nothing is going to bring them down, it is, and it will. Speaking about the royal family, like the staff issue bringing down the House of Windsor, I don't see the royals like disbanding. I've never seen the royals sort of like breaking apart in that sense and the monarchy no longer existing. I've never ever seen that. But again, just like the Cowries here show, it's very much like an orchestrated mess. It's never going to be the same again. Whatever powers that they actually had before, they'll never have those powers again. Whenever I've looked into the cards, I've seen that the royals actually have a lot more power than they've let on. But what is happening and what has been happening is that the spirit realm is stripping them of those powers through their own actions and their own words. Because guess what? When you go on Twitter, for example, and you say something about the royals, the supporters who are by extension members of the, like uh the Cambridge crowd would say things something like, you're thinking too much. The royals don't have this amount of power. Like they keep saying that the royals don't have this much power, all in a bid to blindside people, all in a bid to prevent people from questioning further. Because as long as you can say, oh, the royals don't have this amount of power, you're thinking too much, you can get people to lower their swords. You can get people to be less questioning. You can get people to be less skeptical, right? And more accepting of whatever the royals are doing in the background, because you think to yourself, oh yeah, they don't have that much power. But unfortunately, what the supporters don't know is that because now the spirit realm is awake, whatever they say about the royals, or the royals don't have this much power, uh I don't know, the royals did not, this is not them, this is not them, they don't have this amount of power. What do you think the royals are? The royals, I don't know why you guys are so worried about Kate. She's a normal citizen like all of you. By using these words, which they themselves know is not true, Kate is not just a normal citizen. You're just gaslighting people. But they don't realize that by using these words, they are actually cursing the royals. They are actually absolving them of the responsibilities and the power. In other words, when by the time all this the smoke clears, they're going to realize just how much damage they actually have done to the House of Windsor. People will no longer hold the royals in high esteem like they used to, and the royals are going to feel that power. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but the royals are going to feel that power. They're going to sense that people no longer see them as the be all and end all. In other words, whenever, let's say, a head of state was supposed to resign, right? And before resigning, these are things that used to happen in the background, which again, I've talked about before. There's so many things that were happening in the background. People didn't want to admit, or they had no idea about. For example, when members of like heads of states in certain countries, especially in Commonwealth countries, Canada, Nigeria, before they used to resign, they would hold clandestine meetings with the royals. They would. That's what I've seen in the cards. I don't care that the media doesn't report on it. The royals do a lot of shit behind it, a lot of stuff behind closed doors. But before these heads of states would resign, they would first of all meet with the royals. Once the royals give them the go ahead, then they would resign. Because it's like, I mean, think about it. If you're married, but before you leave the house, you consult another friend of yours, like of the opposite sex. That's like cheating. It's basically like saying you hold a higher esteem over my wife or over my husband. And if you say no, don't leave the house today, then I'm not going to leave the house, even if my wife wants me to leave the house. Right? Kind of like that. You can understand the consequences of those things. And that's what has been going on for centuries, but for decades and decades, but not anymore. This is what I'm talking about. Like, the power is going to be stripped in a way that even the public would not be able to grasp its significance, and even the royals. In fact, all of a sudden, like, the royals will discover that heads of state are no longer calling them up when they want to resign. That's number one. They're going to discover that the submarine equipment, the military equipment they had underwater, which I've seen that they do. They have a lot of stuff underwater in bunks and stuff, no longer belongs to them. Because why? The very supporters claimed that they never had those things in the first place. And the way it like in the physical room, it means that people would wish for the royals to intervene in a particular political issue. But once the royals speak, that issue is not going to go the way that the royals think or the way that it would have gone before, prior to the royals losing the relevance and the power, right? So like this card shows, is not really a loss of power, and like a dismantling of the royal family or the monarchy is not going to appear as people think. It's not going to be a burning down of the castle. It's going to be the castle itself still standing, but in rot. It's not going to glisten. It's not going to be enticing. It's literally going to be like this, a swamp. People will no longer want to come near it. I think that's one of the most poignant. People will no longer want to come. It's going to be like a hot potato. It will be like Meghan Markle when she first left the royal family and the Cambridge supporters thought she was done for. It's that mood that is going to basically haunt the Royal House of Windsor. It started already and it's pretty much finished because, again, as I explained before, when you're doing readings, like tarot readings and stuff, like you might not just see what's happening today, but what is happening in the future that is already settled today. Like, for example, sometimes, like, when I'll do the reading before and I'll see about Autumn Phillips, right? Having problems in her marriage, and it hadn't even been reported in the papers, or the queen passing away. And then it was announced like a year later or several months after. Literally, the House of Windsor is done. The power that we're seeing that it has today is never going to have this level of power again. In other words, whatever William does, whatever Catherine does, through their silence, whatever they're doing right now, they're not confused. They just think that they're holding the power. They think that they can control the public, but they don't realize that, again, fire, right? They started the fire and people are continuing with the fire. Rumors spread like wildfire, right? Again, these words, wildfire. The rumors spreading on Twitter, on social media, it spreads like wildfire. And at some point, they're going to realize that they're going to realize that they can't control the fire. But at the same time, they'll also realize that it's not really about controlling the fire. It's about the books that the fire threatens to burn, the history, the books, the history. But in a way, it's going to be awkward for them because how do you protect books when you're a dragon, right? Like, let me explain. I always sound convoluted sometimes when I'm doing readings because in whatever they're doing right now, not listening to the public is made of humans, right? Humanity. They're meant to be working for humans. By refusing the fact that they are accountable, i.e., working, because if you're working for someone, you are accountable to them. By refusing to be accountable to the public as they should be, and I don't want any royal family supporters to come and gaslight me or lie to me. They should be as accountable to the public as you wanted Meghan and Harry to be. I've never and I will never be an actual supporter of Meghan and Harry, but you've got to admit the hypocrisy. If you wanted Meghan and Harry to be accountable to the public, we pay you, you are accountable to us. It's by the same measure and standard you've got to apply to, Catherine and William. By refusing that standard, whether it's Catherine outrightly refusing, like through her actions or inaction, or William through his actions or inactions, or the supporters through their actions or inactions and words, you're basically saying they're not accountable and therefore they don't bow to the public. By refusing to align themselves to the public, they are becoming the monsters that they've created. And the monster in this case is a dragon. Now think about the irony. How can you be a dragon and you're trying to like it's books that keep you alive? At some point, if you're not careful, the public that you try to burn by gaslighting them. Again, even the words, like it's so hilarious to me when I look into the spirit realm, like even the words themselves, like gaslighting, like when you pour gasoline, right? Gaslighting, like you pour fire, like gaslighting people. Literally, these are not like these words are not coincidences. When you're gaslighting people or someone, you're pouring fire on the situation that should already have been diffused. So they're actually burning themselves because this dragon is really lost. Even if this fire doesn't burn the books, i.e., even if the public does not turn around to burn the books, at some point, through the fire, i.e., the rumors that the public has started, the dragon is going to want to follow the line of the fire. The dragon is going to want to see where the fire is going. And as you can see in this card, it looks like the fire is going round, like the yellow, the orange is kind of going round. So think about it. The fire is going to go all the way round. This dragon is going to turn around without knowing they're going to burn the books that are here behind them. So how can you build yourself to become a dragon? And they've built themselves by refusing to acknowledge the fact that the public is accountable. The public is accountable to them, and vice versa. You can't have taxpayers' money and not be willing to at least admit that you're accountable to the taxpayer. Like it doesn't work like that. And this is really going rapidly, right? Because I mean the rumors and this whole descent into anarchy, because they're refusing to acknowledge it, but at the same, like, if only they were just refusing to acknowledge it, then the situation would be less rapid in motion. But not only are they refusing to acknowledge it, but at the same time as they're refusing to acknowledge it, the supporters, who are by extension them, are also attacking Harry and Meghan on the other side. You can't be starting a fire and then refuse that fire to keep up the same momentum. You're telling Harry and Meghan you're accountable. Where is Archie? Where is Lilibet? We haven't seen any proof. And then you turn around and you're saying, in other words, this cycle they've created, it is bound to turn around. This dragon is bound to turn around and burn its own books. The royals are, not the royals, because Charles isn't even in the midst of that. Like William wiped him away. William and Catherine, they are bound to turn on themselves and burn themselves. Now, what is that going to look like? I'm going to try and see. But it's just to say that that's the general scheme of things, that they will go down, but not in the way that people think. So if you're watching this reading, maybe to hear some hope about the royals, that, oh yeah, they're going to be okay, they're never going to be okay. Like, and I hardly use the word never, because I don't like to be proven wrong, especially, when it comes to saying negative, something that others might not find positive. But I don't see them ever recovering. Like when I say ever, I mean going in, like, ever. I would like to say going into Prince George's generation, but I don't even see that getting there. It's not to say that royal like it's not to say that he won't put on the crown, but I don't see him being on the crown. It's as if he's going to become a mere head of state, as opposed to whatever is going on, like as opposed to what the queen was, basically. Like, so if you even hear some readers or a reader say the queen or Charles is going to be the last, like, proper head of state royal, they're not wrong, because this is the descent into, it's controlled anarchy, but it's not an anarchy that you would think. So I would understand if, when it's happening, you think to yourself, oh, this reader was wrong. The royals are still royals. The royals still exist. Yes, they exist. I've never said they're going to stop existing, but you're going to see for yourself. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's pretty much like what is happening right now with Catherine. It's a suspended I mean, what, at the moment, would you say that the royals are still respected? Absolutely not. Even if you think they're going to be respected again, it's no longer it's not the same thing as at the moment they're not respected, right? You can't predict what's going to happen in the future, but what I'm saying in the future is This suspended state of questioning, lack of respect, rumors, gaslighting is going to continue and it's not going to stop. Yeah. And I'm definitely going to say this because they've been attacking me and attacking a lot of other royal readers. It's mainly due really to the supporters, because you can't be attacking Harry and Meghan and then turn around and say, no, 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 don't ask questions about the Cambridge. It's like, no, you're not invisible. People can see what you're doing. And I've talked about this before. Increasingly, people are seeing the hypocrisy of the Cambridge support and they don't like it. No matter how much people may despise the Sussexes, they despise hypocrisy even more, because what hypocrisy is a coup, like COUP. Hypocrisy is an overthrow of power. Hypocrisy is basically saying you have these powers, but you're not using them right. And I am the one to say that you're not using them right. But look, I am using my powers in the same way that you're using yours, but you do not dare call me out on it. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to stop doing what you're doing, and I'm going to continue. And no, 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 don't tell me that I'm wrong, because you have no right to tell me that I'm wrong. Well, if that is the case, guess what's going to happen after a while? The person who is being told that they're wrong is going to keep trying to meet certain standards, and they're going to keep like losing the momentum, losing the powers, all at the same time that the other side is not just maintaining the powers, but increasing the grip and the authority on that other side, on that other person. Because the more you tell someone that they can't and shouldn't do this, like, who are you to say that? You're literally conjuring up standards of your own, and you're literally saying, I have the right to not hold myself to those. Like, who are you to say that? It's a coup. It's an attempt to overthrow someone else off of their throne, right? Because everyone has a throne, everyone has a spirit, everyone has spiritual powers, and the crown is very, very much spiritual. The crown could not have lasted this long without it being spiritual, without it having spiritual powers. So what the Cambridge fans have been doing is a coup. They've been trying to overthrow people. Now, when I say people, I'm not just talking about the Sussexes, because the power of the royals, the power of the crown means that what happens here will affect people here, no matter how unrelated those people are. Like me, for example, right? Even if I chose not to do a reading, this war that is going on right now between the Sussexes and the Cambridges would come and meet me. Because guess what? This war is taking place on like social media or the media. Harry is going to retaliate, and that is going to have knock-on effects on the media, because the media might try to punish Harry by saying, okay, we're no longer going to take pictures of the royals, right? Okay, what is going to happen then is that the Cambridge fans are going to retaliate by saying, well, we don't want this and this to happen, so we are going to campaign for the media to have more, even more freedom, right? Because already they've been saying, where is Lilibet, where is Archie, right? So that's basically saying the media should go after taking pictures of these children. What's going to happen if I have children? It's going to trickle down. Whatever you start is going to trickle, just like Diana's death had a trickle effect on how the media was able to communicate with the royals. The media was no longer able to pursue the royals in the way that they wanted to. So my point is that though this may seem unrelated to the common man, it is not, right? Like, there's this proverb that says, when two elephants are fighting, it is the ground underneath that suffers, because they're going at it and the ground is feeling the effects. That's exactly what's going to happen, even with the staff. And I've talked about this before with the staff, that Meghan, with all the things that I've said about the Cambridges, I do not want maybe like Sussex fans to misunderstand me. Meghan, from what I saw in the cards, she did bully the staff. She bullied them a lot. She's very visceral in her language. Like, she has no mercy. Her words cut through people. Like, how it bleeds. It can cause bleeding. Like, it bleeds. She's very sharp with her words. She's very deliberate. Like, she wants bleeding. Like, she wants blood, when she uses her words, right? So Even like if she knows that someone has mental health issues, she would deliberately use words uh to sharpen that person's pain, and even wish that the person would go and kill themselves. Like she's used, okay, from what I've seen in the cards, she's used words like those, like go and kill yourself, like go kill yourself, like I don't have time for this. And that's what I've seen. And what I also saw, which is what actually made the Cambridge supporters hate me for a while, is that the Cambridges supported it. In other words, they did not, they didn't hold her accountable as they should have. They covered it up. Not only did they cover it up, even when it was outed, and even when the Sussexes had gone to America, the Cambridges still, if you notice, I'm not talking about Charles and Camilla because, again, I've done a reading on this before. William has basically covered his father's star. When I say covered, I don't mean protected. He's wiped him off the map. He's completely wiped him off the map. So this is what is going on. It's basically between William and Harry and their respective wives. So William did not protect the staff. Not only did he not protect the staff when it was happening, but he also prevented the investigation from going forward. Like this was him. You might not believe me, but that's what I've seen in the cards, and I'm gonna say it. It was not the Queen, it was not Charles that put a stop to that had the final say on how far the investigation into the bullying went, right? And I said it before, even when it was happening, when it came out, I said it back then, and people didn't want to believe me. Like, I'm not always right, but there's certain things that I would pick up that are so tangible that I can't even hesitate to talk about it, because I did talk about it that time that this investigation they started into the bullying is not going to get to its full effect because the royals themselves are with the Sussexes. The royals themselves want to cover it up. So the fact that it even came out in the media, it's not because of the royals. The Cambridges, the royals, they did not want it to come out. They did not want the staff to speak out. Valentine Law is the journalist. I think that's how you say his name, who talked about it. They did not want him to talk about it. So once he did, and the public got alert of it, they wanted to squash it immediately. So even all those statements about, oh, the royals are waiting for the outcome of the investigation, that was just BS. That was just bullshit. They knew what they were going to do. They were never going to allow it to go forward. And I talked about it before. People didn't want to believe me, but this same issue is what is going to bring down the royal house of Windsor, because the staff is what sustains the monarchy. The staff is the lifeblood, basically, even though those at the top, i.e., the royals, don't want to admit it. They don't realize just how hurt the staff has been. The royals don't realize just how badly Meghan's actions have inflicted on the way the staff see the royals. So William preventing that investigation from going forward has come back to bite him. What's going to happen is the royals are going to stop protecting the staff, because they have been protecting some staff. They're going to stop protecting the staff because with everything that is going on, even as you can see, a lot of on social media, people talk about how these blunders, that the royals are doing, how can the staff be allowing these blunders to happen? Well, by saying these things, the royals, unwilling to look inwardly and think to themselves, oh, we are the problem, we need to humble ourselves. Of course, they're not going to do that. They're going to double down on the staff and say to themselves, you are the problem. You didn't handle this properly. So therefore, blah, blah, blah. All I'm trying to say is that the staff issue is about to, I guess, like, blow up. And William and Catherine know that. And that is why they're doing all these things that they're doing in order to prevent this staff issue, when it happens, from being a big deal. They're thinking to themselves, we are going to create this, we're going to allow this issue to carry on in anticipation for this other staff issue that is coming, so that by the time it happens, we're not going to care what people are saying, number one. And at the same time, we are going to look righteous because by that time, people are going to be so tired of slandering us. They're going to be so tired of people coming after us that they're going to defend us. Well, they're gravely mistaken because from what I've seen, people are not going to defend them anymore because they really underestimate the power of social media. Unlike before, like they really think that this is how it used to be before, whereby the lower classes could never unite, right? But they grossly underestimate the power of social media, which is actually why some of the supporters, funnily enough, just like Sussex supporters, want social media to be regulated. Some of the supporters are saying things like, um, social media needs to be regulated. It needs to be shut down because people keep talking about, the Duchess of Cambridge. They keep harassing her. We need to control social media, right? Things like those. They underestimate the fact that the lower class, can now communicate. And what social media has done, just like this card, the books, recordings, right? The books are what enabled the royal family to stand, history. But the books, i.e., recordings of events and stories, are also what enable the lower class to stand united and to not be confused. Why? Because people are going to look back and think to themselves, well, this bullying issue happened in 2019, 2020, right? You've had this long to deal with it. How come the staff is still disgruntled and coming out to say that you haven't dealt with it? I thought the investigation was over. You guys made it seem as if the investigation was done and that the staff was well compensated. How come this didn't happen? The only reason that the royals were able to get away with doing this to the lower classes and to the staff before, because obviously it's not the first century, it's not the first decade that the royals have misbehaved with their staff, right? And in fact, in previous times in history, they used to do even worse to their staff. So what is different today? Well, what is different is social media. When I say social media, I don't just mean Twitter and the likes. No, I mean recordings, like the internet. And again, it's not a coincidence. Like, I'm going all over the place, but it matters. It's certainly not a coincidence that the symbol of the internet, like, it's a web. The symbol of the internet is a web because I've talked about the impact and the power and the significance of the royal family before. It's a nexus, it's a web. Everything is interlinked. Everything is unite, like it's interlinked, whether you like it or not. So what reaches in one corner of the world will touch the other corner of the world, whether someone likes it or not, whether they can control it or not. And the royals have grossly underestimated this impact. They still think that they can only grab power, and they will try to grab power. I've talked about it before again. William is power hungry. I've done a reading, it's on my Instagram page. So just go on that video that I posted yesterday, click on the link, you'll take you to my Instagram. Even if you don't have an Instagram profile, you can still watch the video. I did a reading on William. He's power hungry. William is going to look for power, he's going to go for power. Hence why he's even sort of silenced Charles, right? And you can see that he's silenced Charles. So I'm not just talking out of my butt. Like, you can see it in the media, he silenced Charles. You can see how reticent and how reluctant um Charles and Camilla are willing to support the Kensington Palace, the Cambridges. Like, you think to yourself, with all this happening, why doesn't Charles protect his son? Why doesn't he come out in the media? And no, because they've been broken for a long, long time. Charles and Camilla have been at the mercy of William and Catherine. William has basically like overtaken his father. It's his father that is on the throne in front of us physically, but William is actually on the throne in the spiritual realm. He's already overtaken his father. So William has grossly underestimated the power of social media. The web that is social media is gonna bring him down because he's gonna grab power, right? But it's not the power that he thinks. He's just gonna all it's gonna do is to show people that Harry and Meghan were right. Even in the midst of Harry and Meghan getting a divorce. It's bound to happen. They will break up, they will separate. But the impact of that separation is not going to be as bad as, let me say, the Cambridge supporters or the Sussex supporters won't think it will be. It won't. It's going to be muted. It's not going to be as large a story as it should be. I'm not saying that it won't be reported. Of course it will, but not as badly as it should have been, because William is going to be the main story. But William, to some extent Catherine as well, but William mainly, because he's going to be so power hungry that the antics of Meghan and Harry are going to pale in comparison to what William is going to be doing, and actually to what his supporters are going to be doing to people. Because what you've seen even on social media is nothing. We haven't seen anything yet. They're going to try and gaslight people. They're even going to try and pretend that they never bullied Meghan Markle. Now, I have done readings on Meghan Markle before. In fact, in this very reading, I'm saying that she's not a saint. She has never been a saint. But guess what? I have always said this. I rely on my readings. These people that go after her, after Archie, after Lilibet, these people who say that these children are coming to the age of conscience, like having a conscience, right? Who are you to say that they don't exist? But at the same time, you're going to scream blue murder when people go after the Cambridge kids and say that they shouldn't touch kids. Like, you're really convoluted. You're really gaslighting even yourself. You're putting standards on Harry and Meg. Like, it's bullying. The definition of like, it becomes bullying. Bullying is not when you're talking bad about someone. Bullying becomes bullying when you're willing to apply certain standards to someone, but not someone else. Like, who are you to say this about someone, about Meghan, but when the same thing is happening to Kate, you say leave Kate alone. The supporters are saying it, the media is saying it, and not just that, but you're doubling down on the fact that you're not being hypocritical, you're not bullying Meghan, whilst at the same time you're still bullying her, asking about Archie and Lilibet, and at the same time you're still saying leave Kate alone. Like, the contradiction is so repugnant that is one of the reasons why I even I've been hesitating to do readings on the royals, because anytime I open the card, like I look at the cards, I just see the hypocrisy. Like, the spiritual realm is bringing everything to the open, and especially hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is so loud and it's so smelly that there's just no words for it, because hypocrisy also denies the spiritual realm. Hypocrisy says, I will be a part of the spiritual realm. I will use spell making against you. But the minute you want to talk about spirituality, I'm going to deny that it ever exists. So what you're actually doing is limiting the impact of the spiritual realm, whether for good or for bad, but especially for good, because guess what? If you're limiting the spiritual realm and its effects, you're actually contributing to bad and bad energy and bad spirit rather than good energy. So whilst even still pretending that you're good. So it's just all of that is happening. And these supporters are going to double down, like the Cambridge support. They're going to double down on the hypocrisy. They're going to double down on the gaslighting. And it's not going to stop. So because of the effects of the gaslighting, the royals are also never going to catch a break. Neither Harry or Meghan, even the children, are going to be in the mix. And I'm talking about the Cambridge children, all of them, because that's the energy you've created. As long as you're willing and unwilling to stop going after Archie and Lilibet for whatsoever reason, that energy, like, you don't realize that what is happening to Kate is that it's based on energy. The spiritual realm has opened up, it's come on board. So energy is what matters now. No matter how much you try to bully people and whatever spell making you try to do to shut people like myself, to shut me up, it's not going to stop. And I've said this before. Like, I remember saying this before when I was doing a reading, I think like a year and a half ago, and I was warning these supporters that be careful. You're getting to the point of no return, whereby even I couldn't stop it. Like, I couldn't say to people, oh, this is not what is going on with Kate, give Kate a break, because you're starting, like, this energy that you're going off on, you're not stopping. it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be like a circle. It's gonna be like a ring of karma. People are going to, you can't create hypocrisy and expect you to be the only person controlling that train of hypocrisy. No, it's going to continue. And the more that you double down, in fact, I'm just rambling, but it's to say, in essence, that what has started cannot be undone. What is going on with, the Sussexes is what is going to happen with the Cambridges. I mean, if you notice, if you go back, even on my pages, if you go back on social media, people talking on Tumblr, on Twitter, on Instagram, the old pages, people talking about the Sussexes, the same things, the same arguments that people were using for the Sussexes. Why is she wearing this? Why is she not showing herself? She's supposedly given birth. Why are we not seeing any changes? Why are we seeing this on her stomach? Why is she putting out this fake picture of Archie? A child doesn't look like that. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you notice, if the supporters of the Cambridges were not too blinded with their ego to notice, these are the exact same arguments that are being used on Kate. Like, if you were at least humble to see that there's a parallel here, then you would stop the arguments and you would just allow the Sussex squad to ramble on and allow that energy to die, because they're not wrong. They're not completely right, but they're not wrong either. You just allow them to speak rather than not just doubling down on saying leave Kate alone, but at the same time doubling down on also Harry and Meghan and saying they don't deserve any of our sympathy. Like, who are you to say that they don't deserve sympathy? You cannot have sympathy on them. But then why do you get angry when the supporters have sympathy on them, but you expect the whole world, not just you, supporter of the Cambridges, to have sympathy on the Cambridges? Like, in other words, you want the whole world to have sympathy on the Cambridges, but you don't want the Sussex squad to have sympathy on who they support. It doesn't make sense. And this web that you're creating, the web is going to trap your gods, your idols, William, Kate, it's going to trap them. And what you've done, unfortunately, is going to trap the children as well, because the legacy that the children were supposed to have, this is not it. Like, I've talked about it before, the power hungry energy of William, like this power hungry attitude it's gonna have an effect even on his children. Like, if something happens to his children, if something happens to the Sussex children, from what I've seen in the cards, it traces back to William, not Kate, William, because he is so power hungry, and his supporters have built this web that it can't unravel anymore, because the hypocrisy is so thick, and it's going, from what I've seen, it's gonna continue. Like, they have no shame, they have no scruples, and they're gonna continue. Like, when I'm saying this, it's not just the media, it's people, regular average people. They seem regular, they seem average, but they're on social media every day demanding to see Archie, demanding to see Lilibet, but at the same time claiming that the Cambridges should be a no-go area to touch. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like, it might seem like I'm rambling, but I have no choice but to say this. These events that are happening with Kate, whatever is happening with the royal family presently, is because the Cambridge supporters, as far-fetched as it may seem, and I did this reading before, the Cambridge supporters refused to let it go, number one. If you notice, I stopped doing readings on the Sussexes because I realized at some point that what the cards are showing me, they're all the same. The Cambridges are the same, they are the same, and they have to repent. They have to stop. They have to stop portraying that they have this kind of morals, when I can see behind the scenes that the morals are so much more below than even the average person. But the supporters refuse to see it, and they double down. Because they refuse to see it, the spiritual realm essentially said, okay, well, since you refuse to see it, here's what's going to happen. We're going to expose this, but in a different way. You think that you can block these things like the child trafficking, you can block it from coming out. We are going to use your arguments about Meghan Markle. We're going to fire that shot into the Cambridge household. And now people are going to see the nonchalance of the royals. Now, guess what's happening? People are seeing how nonchalant the royals are. Let's say in a few weeks' time, right? The staff issue, or a few months, I don't know, time wise, I always have difficulty with time. Let's say a few weeks' time, whenever the issue of the staff comes up, William, who thought that the public would defend him, the the by the time that the staff issue comes out, all these things that are happening at the moment, his nonchalance, people have taken note of it. Like the books, the recording, they have recorded his nonchalance. Now, guess what? When the staff comes out and says, oh, and guess what? William, i.e., the future king, who you've tried to paint as perfect or more perfect than his brother, and therefore the public should support him because he is not his brother, he works hard, he's so perfect. Because let's face it, the Cambridges rely a lot on perfection, an image of perfection. If you one chink in their armor is gonna break them down. Just one chink, because they rely so much on perfection. So now guess what? When the staff comes out and says William didn't help us, I mean, I'm not saying all the staff is gonna say this, because some of the staff will actually say William intervened or William helped. But from what I've seen, that is because they've been paid. It's not because he actually helped. I'm just saying what I see. When the staff that has the courage, I guess, to say, oh, by the way, none of the royals helped us, or including William, people are not going to be convinced by William's nonchalance, because William would have thought, or he would think to himself, if by me being nonchalant in the face of these accusations, people are going to see me as stoic, never complain, never explain. People will see me like the queen. Even though I hate the queen, and I've seen him, he hates the queen. He hates the fact that she let go of the power that the royals used to have before, where people would have to bow to the royals every time. People would never be able to criticize the royals. He hates, like, I'm going off on a tangent, but his energy is so strong and powerful. I have no choice but to say it. William hates the queen. He hates the royals before him that allowed the crown to be stained, and for people to no longer be able to keep quiet about what the royals do. Unfortunately, he doesn't realize he's bringing it down even further. But that's the consequence of hubris. He thinks that he's going to mirror the queen in, like, never complain, never explain. Therefore, the public is going to support me because I am not complaining, I'm not saying anything. But what he doesn't realize is that as we're speaking right now, history and the future is already being woven. It's already being interwoven, in that the nonchalance that you think is going to be your strength is actually bringing you down, because wait, people are going to see that this nonchalance that you're giving to them, the public, when they're asking you questions about the Cambridge, when they're asking questions about Kate. And bear in mind, some people, they're not trolls. They're genuinely wondering what is happening to Kate. Why are you putting out a statement that William took the picture on Mother's Day, but then you'll say it's only Kate, not William and Kate, that is taking the responsibility for the Photoshop? Like, why are you not united? We genuinely want to know, but you're spitting on them, on us, by not replying, not responding, and just carrying on as if everything is normal. We don't take this nonchalance lightly. Now, when it comes to the staff saying, oh, the royals, including William, maybe was nonchalant, right? They might not even mention William, but they could just say the royals, and they will not exclude William. So they don't even have to say William. But because the royals had been trying so hard to elevate William above all the other royals, it's going to be very significant that people are not that the staff is not excluding William from not supporting them. So the public is going to think to themselves, well, we kind of believe the staff. If you could not answer our questions when we were asking you about Catherine, and that was just a simple issue, we didn't even pressure you. You're not paying us. A simple statement would have sufficed. But instead, there's all this gaslighting. We're not going to forget the gaslighting. It's still fresh in our memories because, again, even if the royals wanted to use witchcraft, which they've done before, obviously, they rely on witchcraft a lot, to blindside people and blind people from remembering the bad stuff that the royals have done to them, social media is always there to remind them. Not just social media, but the media itself. The very media, again, this is what I'm talking about, is cycle. The very media that today is defending the royals and Catherine and saying, leave Catherine alone. By saying these things, leave Catherine alone, they're actually they're putting words in the minds of the public. Later on down the line, when the public is trying to give, let's say, Catherine the benefit of the doubt, these words, leave Catherine alone, will come back into their minds. And they're going to think to themselves, wait, we were told to leave Catherine alone. But apparently, the royals now, only now do they want us to support them. Now, they don't, oh, now you don't want us to leave you alone. Now you want us to support you. No, actually, I don't think so. I'm not going to support you on this staff issue. I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna step back. So they might not even realize what they're doing, that they're leaving the Cambridge alone, but that is what they're gonna be doing, because it's gonna enter into the space. They're gonna say to themselves, well, actually, we're gonna step back and see how this plays out. And unfortunately for the royals, because they didn't realize that the backbone was the staff, what plays out without the public defending them on what plays out, they go down and they become ruins. So they stand, but the way people see them is no longer the same and will never be this, like, never ever. I don't like being hyperbolic. I don't like exaggerating things, but I'm really getting the energy wise, it will never ever be the same again. Yeah, with the royals and royalty. The public is going to step back and are going to see how things play out with the staff. And unfortunately, because they refuse to speak, words are very powerful. Words are akin to witchcraft, right? Like, witchcraft is not bad necessarily. You just have to know how to weave it together to produce something good. And the words of people, long live the queen, long live the king, these words were feeding into the crown to strengthen the crown. The refusal of people to now speak means this long live the king, long live the queen, the energy, that energy produced by those words no longer exists. So it means now that now royals or people like William, the staff that still supports him, and the supporters, they are now left alone to themselves to create the same level and the same degree of support and energy, whatever energy, I mean, literal energy, whatever energy that level of support was supposed to create, they are left to themselves to create that same level of energy. And it's not the same. There's a difference between 1,001 people saying long live the queen and 10 people, William and his staff and Kate, saying long live the king. Like, it's not the same anymore. Even if you try to keep the facade, it's no longer the same. And then all of a sudden, the blindfold comes off. People now start seeing the things that they couldn't see before, that they were blinded from seeing by the witchcraft, by the not gaslighting, but by the smoke, the long live the king, long live the queen, whatever that witchcraft was creating. Like, now it slips off and they're able to see that, wait, this is ruined, like, it's derelict in behavior, because they no longer listen to the public. They're nonchalant. They walk as if they have not a care in the world, right? And it's derelict. We have no dog in this fight anymore. We're not gonna defend. We're not gonna fight. We're just gonna see. But even when we defend, it's not gonna be with the same vigor anymore. Yeah. So that's really it in a nutshell. Um, if you have any questions, do let me know. Um, I'm gonna stop the reading here. Okay, let me see time wise. Does anyone have any questions that I can touch on before I go? Because I really have no idea if I'm gonna be able to do a reading soon. So any questions that you have presently, I'm gonna try and see it here. But if I miss it, I'll come back to do a reading. Okay, I'm gonna wait for a few seconds, for a few minutes. Oh yeah, and for people who, because obviously I'm aware that this is tarot reading and obviously my car is, but like I said in the beginning, lots of energies, and I rambled quite a bit because whenever there's too much going on behind the scenes and obviously in front, it's very, very difficult for me to speak coherently without forgetting things, without jumping over things. Um, so that's why typically in those circumstances, one card would suffice. And like the cowries, whatever I was talking about, I wasn't just bringing it out of my head. The cowries help. Like I get the information basically from this, even if I didn't use lots of cards and stuff. Basically, like that's how the spiritual room works. I get a lot of information, whether it's one card, whether I'm shuffling or not shuffling, the information would still come through. So that's for those who maybe were expecting me to show the cards or use more cards. Okay, so Gogo asked, who do you see as the next king? William. William. Yeah, William. And as you can see, he's so far removed from like, yeah. To answer your question, Gogo, William. Yeah. William is gonna be the next king. But like I said, he's gonna be power hungry. Whenever I look through my readings and I go through my readings, oftentimes, I guess, sometimes I often have regrets because when I watch them and then I see what is going on presently, I just think to myself, why did I hesitate? Because a lot of times when I did readings, especially before, I would hesitate because the amount of stuff that I would see, it seems so outrageous. Like, who would think that people would be making memes about Catherine? Like, people would like, they really locked it down and they really thought to themselves that we have it going on. Because I even talked about it in previous readings. Like, the popularity of Harry and Meghan had gone down. If only the supporters of the Cambridges had let things go and allowed the truth, even about the Cambridges, to happen, there would have been a period of, I guess, cleansing, but it didn't allow it. They doubled down. So, means like the the loss of popularity that Meghan and Harry experienced, it rebounded. And now they're popular again. But obviously, it's not with the same intentions, the popularity, I mean the people that I guess elevate them or support, defend them, it's not with the same vigor as before. They don't have the rose-colored glasses anymore. They know that these two are opportunists, right? Whatever I say about the Cambridges, it doesn't. I will still say the truth, definitely about the Sussexes. They are narcissistic and opportunistic, but they are far less self-righteous than the Cambridge supporters and the Cambridges and their fans. Far less self-righteous. So when it comes to hypocrisy, it's who is less hypocritical. It's not about who is perfect. The Cambridges, yes, do present themselves as perfect and perfection. So the spiritual realm is basically like, okay, we're gonna expose this. Like, we're gonna expose whoever is pretending the most. And it just so happens to be the Cambridges. So in saying all of that, like in previous readings that I did, I definitely saw William's power. Like, talking about him being the next king, he will be king. He definitely will be king. And as for Charles, I do not see Charles passing away anytime soon. And the funny thing is, like, I'm saying funny to me because it's insanity that people would be so heinous and hypocritical. But I do see the fans of the Cambridges, like the ones who want to push William on the throne, who want William there already, they are happy at Charles's cancer diagnosis. Like, I can't help it. I'll open the cards, like, and this definitely one thing that really prevents me from looking into things so much more because I will see this and I can see them laughing anytime I would talk about this, like, and then when I see that Charles he's not going to last that long, right? So I do say this, but they are laughing about it. I can see this, like, they're laughing. They're not even hesitant about the fact that they want him dead, they want him gone. You might have come across such characters on social media. Don't be I guess don't be alarmed or don't be surprised, but they do exist, like some of these supporters. I would like to say some, but what the cards are really insisting is that Jojo, Jojo, you need to stop pretending that it's not what you feel. I'm feeling that it's all of them. They don't hesitate to want him dead. Like no matter the rhetoric that they have, they want him gone. They want him gone. So even when the media is talking about William being the best, the next best king after Queen Elizabeth, they mean it. They really mean it. They don't see Charles anymore. He's a goner to them. So even the fact that he's got cancer, like they're just even happy that, if anything, they're happy that he's gonna die slowly. That's it. Like to them, Charles equals death. Like Charles, death. They want William on the throne. So whatever that is, like this is why they won't back down. No matter how much I may think, or I guess want my readings and my warnings to be a warning to them, to get them to stop the gaslighting that they're doing to people on social media. They're not going to stop. They're never going to, like, they're not, they won't stop. They won't stop. It's even ludicrous me talking about it. Like, they won't stop. So, William being the next king, he will absolutely be the next, he will be the next king. Charles isn't going to last that long, but I don't see him dying this year, for example. Like, it's very difficult for me when I'm reading on time because it sort of, hesitates, but he's not going to pass as soon as people think, or as, some, like, as Cambridge supporters wish for him to pass. But at the same time, he's going to last for long enough for people to see William's true character, and then he's gonna go. Like he's gonna fall off. His reign is pretty much done as we're speaking, but he's just gonna be there as like intermediary, basically, in order for people to see that this is the real William, the one that doesn't regard his father and is willing to sort of like a coup over overtake his father on his coronation day, make it about himself while still pretending that he's with his father. That kind of sly behavior, that kind of snake behavior, that's the epitome of what the Cambridges and their fans are. They're never going to approach the truth at face value. They're always underhanded behavior. And that's what I see of the King William. He is going to be King William. He is going to be king. Like no matter, he is going to be king. And uh not a good one. Not a good one. Okay, next question. Uh yeah, thank you, Gillian. Will Harry return to England? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Harry's returning to England already. Like I'm saying that even the divorce that I talked about, it is gonna happen and he's gonna come. He's gonna come back. But in saying all of that, I do understand your question. It's never gonna be the same. When I did the first readings before, like many years ago in 2018, the card showed like no, the public will never forgive Harry. So he'll never be on the good side of the British public. But at the same, like he just won't be. So in terms of your question, it won't be the Harry that you've known before because obviously, guess what? Harry also is very petulant and spiteful. So as long as the public is not in favor of him, he likewise is not in favor of the public. So I do see him stumbling out of pubs, basically like the young Harry, yes, taking drugs and all of that, but um and unfortunately from what I see, I would like it to be different, but no, their children are going to be neglected. Yeah, him and Megan's children, from what I see in the cards. Yeah, saying that out there for people who would like to challenge me, feel free, but that's what I see in the cards. The children being neglected because, yeah, the divorce isn't going to go well either. Yeah, yes, Julian. So, yeah, yes, Gogo. He will return to England. He will. Um, Sunshine. Yeah, your brother's fine. Your brother's fine. Yeah. He misses you though. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. If anyone has any more questions, do feel free. Um, my email address still works, and my number on WhatsApp, obviously, it does still work. So feel free to, don't hesitate to send me questions, and I'll address them. If I don't ever address your questions quickly, it's probably because maybe I'm not seeing something tangible or clear cut in the cards, and I hesitate to come on the camera and just ramble. Um, but there might be a time when I'll just come on the camera and we'll just talk about it, because again, like I said in the beginning of this reading, things have gone back to the beginning, like when Megan started her antics. So if you remember, for those who have followed me this whole time, that energy was so prevalent, and it was like a cycle, right? A circus that is never going to end. So it's like every day something new, something new, something new, pretty much like that. So, and at that time, I remember I used to do readings quite regularly, if not every day. So I'll come online and do a reading. So I might get back to that if possible. I would love to get back to that. So do let me know if you have any questions, and I won't hesitate to answer either in the comment section or do another reading as well. It doesn't matter if I've touched on it in this reading. It doesn't matter, in fact, if you have any doubts about what I have said. um I don't mind doubts. I don't mind questions on what I've said. Just don't come with bad intentions, and I'll answer your questions, and I'll address, like, for example, if you think that something I said is contradictory, you can say to yourself, okay, well, you said this, but this is happening. Don't hesitate to ask me that question, and I'll definitely explain to you what is happening, because it might just seem at face value like things might seem contradictory, but when you look at it in more detail, like before, again, if I'm saying that this whole situation is orchestrated by William and Kate in order to spite the public, then why would I say, why would you say that it's the public that is driving this? Because they started the situation. Two things can coexist at once. Again, alternate realities, right? They can think that they're driving the conversation whilst deluding themselves, being deluded, because guess what? It's actually the public, on the other hand, that is driving the conversation. Two things can coexist at once. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be contradictory. You just have to understand it. When you flesh things out, they start to make a lot more sense. Yeah, so that's about it. Uh, Sunshine Moon, I answered your question. Your brother's fine. Your brother's okay. Talk to him a lot more. Yeah, because he misses you. Okay, bye guys. Thank you for watching.